And everyone breathe, everyone calm down. Manchester United 3, Nottingham Forest 2. United come back from 2 goals down after being 2-0 down in just 4 minutes. United complete the comeback with goals from the likes of Christian Eriksen, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes from the penalty spot, getting the job done. Wasn't plain sailing. There was a lot involved. We had penalties, we had red cards, we had just about everything. But what we also do have is 3 points. We got there in the end. My goodness me. So we're going to be chatting about that. You guys can call in. The link will be going up very, very shortly for the members exclusively. Easy for me to say to call in. But I'll give my thoughts on the game first as everyone sort of files in here. I mean, how long you got? I mean, we're here for an hour. We're here for an hour. Broad strokes, and then we'll get into the minutiae of it. Broad strokes is I'm pleased with the character. I'm pleased with the comeback because we could have very, very easily just completely collapsed. When you go 2-0 down to anybody at home or go 2-0 down to anybody just in general in the Premier League, it's a tough job to come back. And if anything, we're fortunate that we went 2-0 down so early on in the game. Forest going up 2-0 for 4 minutes to go, they're still thinking, my goodness me, we've still got basically 90 plus minutes to hold on to this lead. So we were always going to come back in the game from that point of view. And it did wake us up. I don't think you can overlook that first 4 minutes and just see how poor it was. The first goal in particular, that's the one that just absolutely infuriated me, really. That first goal. I mean, the way that Marcus Rashford just got completely sprinted past Andre Onana, I don't know what on earth he was doing for that first goal. He fell over, basically. He lost his footing and he sort of lost his balance. I don't know. And he fell backwards and fell over. It was shocking. And then the second goal, the set piece, Bolly doesn't know anything about it, but still, we don't win the first header. I think it's Casemiro's man. He has no idea that is there. It bounces off him. And then you're looking around going, how on earth? We're 2-0 down. Both times they've had 2 opportunities and they've scored twice. Like, what is going on? What is going on? And as I mentioned, I tweeted at the time, posted, X'd, whatever it's called. I was furious. I mean, this is typical of United this season. Sloppy, poor, lethargic, not doing anything. And then, in fairness to United, I will say we did react to that. And look, we had our moments after that for the rest of the game where Forest looked like they were getting in behind and we looked vulnerable, but. Unfortunately, that's what you've got to do. When you're 2-0 down and you realize we have to score 3 goals to win this game, you have to throw caution to the wind and you have to take risks. And that's exactly what we did. And I think it showed for the first goal, for instance, with Eriksen's goal, just having Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side, he will at least 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the game, he will run at a fullback one-on-one, and he'll get past them, or he'll make it difficult for them. And that's what he did for Eriksen's first goal. Runs at the fullback, gets it across goal. Eriksen actually has to kind of improvising the finish and does really well. We're back in the game. Now, we should have gone into halftime 2-2 because Casemiro missed an absolute sitter. I don't know how he missed it. I mean, the conditions were really, really bad, even where I am. Basically, the whole game I sat through a thunder and lightning storm. I think that's the case all across the country today. But Turner, their goalkeeper, looks so shaky and so fragile, particularly with the conditions. Ball comes in, he flaps it. Casemiro, he's 2 yards out, literally 2 yards away, and somehow misses. And you did have a bit of worry of, is this going to be, one of those days where we're creating chances, but we're missing them? Is this going to be the same as we've seen this season, not being clinical? And that wasn't really the case. Second half, came out. This time, Casemiro doesn't miss. And it must be said, it's a really, really well-worked set piece. Bruno Fernandes standing over it, goes back to Marcus Rashford, who's outside the box. And actually, his ball in is really, really good to Bruno Fernandes. Bruno continues to run, puts it across goal. This time, Casemiro can't miss it, and we're level. And again, it's that creativity. We'll get back to Bruno Fernandes in a bit, but it's the creativity from Bruno. So that's a fantastic goal. And then look, a couple of things go in our favor. For me, the red card I did think was a little bit harsh, honestly. The question is Bruno Fernandes the last man, double jeopardy and all that kind of stuff? Again, I'm going to be honest, right? Nowadays, I genuinely don't know. What is the rule anymore? Because for me, when I was growing up, it used to just be if you were the last man and you took the player out, it's red card. Now, it's double jeopardy that if you're the last man, I don't know. I don't know. Basically, my point being, but double jeopardy is for penalties, right? I think because the point being is you get the advantage because you've got a penalty. I think. Is that my understanding of the rule? I don't know. It changes all the time when it comes to that. But I did think it was a little bit harsh. But I suppose the point that if it's outside the box, then it should count as a red card. I guess is the letter of the law. Either way, they're then down to 10 men, and it was really like, look, if we don't win this game now, we've got stuff going in our favor at this point. It might be our day. And then we win the penalty. Where does the penalty come from again? Marcus Rashford. At that point, he was actually playing through the middle because Anthony Martial had gone off and Sancho had come on. And it was actually Sancho playing off the left, which I was a little bit like, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Rashford through the middle. But when Rashford peels off, where does he go to? Left-hand side. Like with the first goal, what happens? One-on-one with the fullback. Goes at the fullback, gets a penalty, and it is a penalty. People can say it's soft, but there is contact. I wanted it, and had it been the other way around, I'd say, well, he makes contact. So I felt there was a penalty. And who steps up? Of course, Bruno Fernandes steps up. And to be honest, by that point, we could have actually been further ahead because Anthony had a shot that was saved by the goalkeeper. So overall, look, I think if you come out of today's game, waxing lyrical, then maybe I think you're taking it a little bit too far because there are concerns. Clearly, there are concerns. Defensively, I thought we looked vulnerable. I think we still look, even though Erik ten Hag can talk about fitness, I think we still did look leggy at points. Casemiro went down with it looked to be like a hamstring injury. It might have, again, just been a fatigue kind of situation. I don't know. Rafael Varane went off as well, half-time, replaced by Lindelof. As of right now, I haven't seen any quotes about that, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. And there are still concerns because we're vulnerable. We are still very vulnerable, and you can't, no disrespect to Nottingham Forest, but you can get away with going 1-0 down or 2-0 down at home to Forest in the Premier League because they're still, in their mind, they think, it's United, they're going to come back or anything like that. So you can't get overhyped by it, but at the same time, you do have to, I believe, give United credit. You do have to say that to show the character to come back 2-0 down on the back of a defeat last week as well, I think is a testament to the players too. And also as well, this is, and by the way, the link's gone into on the page. If you go to the United View YouTube channel on the community tab for members only, you'll be able to see the link for the full-time view. So you'll be able to call him. When it comes to Bruno Fernandes, I'll say this, yeah, and it's a strange one for me because Bruno Fernandes will play badly and people will come for him. Bruno Fernandes, like today, will play well, I think, create chances, be involved in goals, score goals, and people will still come for him and tell you that he's not good. So he cannot win in that instance. I thought Bruno Fernandes today, I mean, you had Kevin De Bruyne the other day say that he was a creative machine, and that's exactly what he was. I mean, I can see a stat in front of me here. Since making his Premier League debut in February 2020, no player has both scored and assisted in more different games in the competition than Bruno Fernandes. And is he the perfect player? No. He's not the perfect player. He can be incredibly frustrating. People can say, he spams shots, or he moans too much, or he whinges at officials, or he goes down, or he does this and he does that. And look, they're fair criticisms of Bruno Fernandes. But at the same time, like I mentioned, when he does well, you still get these people coming out going, no, he's rubbish. Well, the rubbish guy scored the winner today, got an assist as well for the second goal too, and was involved with the first goal. Where did the first goal come from? He took a shot against Turner because he recognized that the goalkeeper was looking shaky. So Bruno Fernandes has been involved in every goal we've scored today. And that's because that's what he does. He's involved in everything. He's involved in every single goal we scored near enough. That's how important he is. That's how much of a leader he is. And I think sometimes the criticism, while some of it is warranted and I think fair, sometimes I think the opposite of it is not fair. As I mentioned, Marcus Rashford, I thought did well today too at points. The first goal that we conceded, absolutely not. I still have this almost conspiracy theory in my head that there might be something off with Marcus Rashford still, because I'm like, he just got outpaced. I mean, he completely outpaced, and I couldn't believe it. but he did react well. And again, when he gets up against the fullbacks, takes them on, there's danger there. You can see it. Johnny Bravo says, Owen, this was my first game in person. Happy about the win, but it was an emotional roller coaster, to say the least, wasn't it? An absolute emotional roller coaster, no doubt about it. The most important thing is the 3 points. And look, Arsenal dropped points today, so you never know. You never know. I mean, you won't be able to have a start. And again, this is the thing too. You can't have a start like we had when you go away to the Emirates next week, right? So, but it gives us opportunity to.
Please.
Come on, always. Let's get to some of the calls. Let's start off with Lux Hill. Lux Hill, how are you feeling? Have you come down from that emotional roller coaster? What are your thoughts?
Indeed, I have, man. That game was it was definitely an emotional roller coaster. The first 5 minutes were pain, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just gonna be another game like the one versus Tottenham again. But funny enough, they pulled it out of the bag somehow, some way, and we ended up with 3 points. So I'm very happy.
Very happy indeed. Where do you kind of let's go straight into Bruno Fernandes. Start off on a hot button topic.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you sit on Bruno? Because as I was just mentioning, you still see, and I'll probably still see it in the comments now, there'll be some people that are like, no, he's not good. He's not this. He's not a leader. Where do you sit on the criticism? Is it fair? Is it unfair? What did you think of him today?
Well, I'm a bit biased though, and I'm part of the Bruno hive. I think he gets criticized a bit too much. You know, it's almost like he's more respected by his peers than the fans of the club that he plays for. You know what I mean? Like the other day, there was the whole thing with Kevin De Bruyne in it, saying that after him, Bruno's the best midfielder in the league, and it just went to show that his peers respect him more than a lot of the people that support Man United do. You know, so I think he gets disrespected a lot. Sometimes the criticism is deserved. He does lack a bit of discipline sometimes, but that's part of who he is. But I think today he really showed a lot of leadership on the pitch. He had a goal and an assist. I'm really happy for him, man.
Yeah, like I said, I'm happy for him too. Does it? And this is the thing too, because in like let's say the late 90s or the Fergie years, certainly, you'd have games like today whereby you would go 2-0 down at home and you'd come back and it would be cool in the end. And we wouldn't really care that much because we'd go, yeah, United come back. That's what we do. But is there still cause for concern knowing how the game started? And again, just how vulnerable at points we can look?
Oh, absolutely, bro. I mean, we really need a lot more bodies than we thought we did. After we lost Fred last week, we realized just how much we needed him, and that's why we need more bodies in the team. We need Amrabat. If we can get Gravenberch as well, we definitely should bring him in. Just because the midfield is looking a bit thin right now, I'll be honest. With Kobe Mainu out, Mason Mount out, we're looking very thin. So I'm just hoping that the board wake up. I hope they don't get carried away with the fact that we won the game today, because we therefore have a lot of things that we need to work on, especially in terms of bringing players in, getting players out. It's business as usual.
Yeah, business as usual indeed. What did you think of Marcus Rashford today? Got an assist. He was back on the left because Martial was back up front. 60-minute cameo from Anthony Martial. Well, we don't know. I was going to say didn't get injured. A high chance he did.
We don't know that.
we don't know. Next press conference would be Martial starting. No, it's out for 3 months. Excuse me?
3 months.
You don't know with him. But what did you think of Rashford today?
Today I was really happy with Marcus Rashford's performance. I think this just goes to show why we need him on the left wing rather than in the centre forward position. He looks so much more comfortable there than he does as a centre forward, and I think that I feel like his output is obviously different compared to how he was in the middle of the season last season. But we're only in the third game of the season, so I'm hoping he brings up the goods in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, before I get some more calls, do you believe for next week? You know, Arsenal dropped points today away from home. I know what it is away from home, but do you?
Owen, let me tell you this. I just finished binge watching Ted Lasso, so I do absolutely believe.
Yes.
Believe.
That's what I mean. Honestly, if I use the Robbie sound effect and we end up beating Robbie next week, this would be brilliant.
It's going to be amazing.
I love it. I love it. A big up, Luxil. Appreciate you calling in as always. There's a super chat here from Kyle. Says Bruno had a power game. So did many. However, he makes mistakes that don't make sense for his type / quality. And I think that's maybe the point of contention with Bruno, isn't it? Is that he is so up and down. And I don't just mean in terms of form. I mean within a game. Like within a 5-minute period, you'll be like, Bruno, like what are you doing? Go score. You go, oh, okay. I guess that's what Bruno Fernandes does because, again, it's Bruno Fernandes. How many people we got watching at the moment? We've got over 600 people watching. How many likes are we currently on? We're at 116. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner, you know what to do. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Lil Yo-Yo. Lil Yo-Yo, you're all over the channels at this point here. United View, my channel as well. How you doing? And how you feeling after the game?
Relieved. Relieved is probably the best word to describe it. That first, how many minutes? Let's say 10 to 15 minutes. We were horrific. Like, Ten Hag is really trying to implement this system, and I think it's taken a very long time for these players to really get to grips with it, especially with Onana trying to distribute the ball. Our defenders look moderately comfortable, but then when it gets to the forward positions, the midfield positions, we lose it really high up, and then we just get susceptible to counterattacks, mistakes, and then we concede.
What did you think of Andre Onana for that first goal, by the way? Because in real time, I kind of saw it. I went, oh, Onana's on the floor. Why is Onana on the floor? And then I watched the replay back. He just fell over. I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. Like, of all the people you want running one-on-one and from our team to be chasing a player, Rashford wouldn't be the guy. I would have thought, if it was Wan-Bissaka, I would have been like, okay. I remember last season against Palace, Wilf Zaha was against Wan-Bissaka running one-on-one, and Wan-Bissaka made it. But Rashford, no chance.
No, I couldn't believe it. Me too. I literally couldn't believe it. And it's also as well, Rashford had like a head start on him, and he just flew past him. It was unbelievable. Christian Eriksen was back in the team today. Obviously, Mason Mount injured. Do you think that we do? I mean, he got a goal as well, but do you think we just look a bit more balanced with him in there with Casemiro, considering they played together last season? There's familiarity, and he's got. I suppose he does have more experience than Mason Mount, but do you just think that balance is a bit better with him in there?
So, ironically, I was speaking with a few people about this whilst watching the game, and I said, in this one game, Eriksen has provided more than Mount has in the last 2 games. And it's a shame because, I mean, I've been side-eyeing the Mount signing ever since we were even linked with him. And I was like, why are we even linked with this guy? I trust the manager, of course, let him get what he wants. But to me, it just never made sense. Like, I've been screaming out over the hills for Amrabat for the longest, like, I've watched this guy for like a few games here and there, obviously the World Cup, and I'm just like, he makes more sense for this team than Mason Mount does. But this manager's trying to implement this new system, cool. But however, Eriksen today, he made a big difference, especially for us getting the first goal. It was really good on the ball, distributing it very well. He kept us a lot calmer, obviously, other than the first 10 to 15 minutes. But I think he was really instrumental. I think he was low key a man of the match contender.
Yeah, I think also as well, people will talk about Eriksen, his legs are gone. He played over 100 minutes
I think
today.
The issue is him playing over 100 minutes consistently. I think he could do it over 1 or 2 games. But if we rely on him for like a 38-game season in the Prem, he won't be able to do that every single game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's fair. Talk to me about Anthony, because I was here doing my thing during the match view, and those in the studio were being points maybe a little bit critical of Anthony. KG, staunch Anthony defender. I mean, staunch defender. He was saying slander on his name. He's the answer to the right-hand side. Yeah. What did you make of Anthony today? Where did you sit on that?
I'm in the middle. He had some good moments. He was showing some Brazilian flair. I don't know where that's been for the longest. It's been in his pocket somewhere. He's been better than the last 2 games. He still needs to improve a lot. I'm just surprised he uses right foot for a change.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, I'm not as critical, but I do understand the points of people saying he's been horrendous because he always loses the ball and he always does some little samba trick, which of course we like. We like some style in the game, but it's got to be effective. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Although, look, he had a shot today saved by the goalkeeper.
Yep.
I thought he did okay. I thought he played better than he did against Spurs.
He was shocking against Spurs. Don't get me started.
He was shocking against Spurs. I thought he did better today, certainly. Yeah. And finally, before I get to another call, Anthony Martial, 60-minute cameo. As I said, we don't know if he got injured because you never know with him. But it looks like it was just, again, building him back up. Once Højlund's fit and available, I mean, there's a possibility we go into next weekend against Arsenal with 2 strikers.
It's a miracle, right?
It's what's happening? The sky. I mean, with the weather, the sky is literally falling today.
Crazy.
2 strikers next week. Crazy. What did you think of Martial today? Is it just another example of if we actually have an actual striker there, that front three just looks so much more balanced?
It just makes me think, what if this guy was just consistently fit? He might actually activate that Ballon d'Or clause if he was actually fit.
Bloody hell.
That's crazy.
He's a good player, but that guy can never stay fit, man.
You said they activate the Ballon d'Or clause. I mean, they have to blow dust off
and he was able to play consistently. We saw that one season during COVID. He scored like over 20 goals.
I forgot about the Ballon d'Or clause, man.
Yeah. Ed Woodward, man. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, Ed Woodward. Oh, man.
Or was it Matt Jones? One of those guys.
One of those guys. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Lil Yo, I appreciate you calling. And
Big
as
up.
always, big support on UV. Big support of myself as well. My channel. Go
Big
check
up.
it out. Big up, Lil Yo. I appreciate the support. The Ballon d'Or clause active. Imagine one day, United have to go, look, here Monaco, here's the money. Ballon d'Or, it happened. Tony Marshall turned it around late in the career. The Ballon d'Or. Austin Baker says criminal, which whenever anyone says the word criminal, it's always going to be every time. Got to have a bit of law and order indeed. I think I'm caught up with super chats and all that as well. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Lucas Chan. Lucas, you were talking the other day. We were chatting after the Spurs game, and it was like, it wasn't a game you had to stay up to get up too early for, but it was still rubbish. What about today?
It was for me. I was having trouble getting a stream going to start off to watch the match, and the second goal went in. I had to stop. I'm like, no, it's not right. I had to check my phone again just to make sure that it wasn't actually 2-0 to start off with, and I was like, oh my god, I felt so sick instantly. But at least they came back. But I don't want to see that. You just don't want to see us concede. And I was just like, oh my god. I was like, thank God we're not away from home. Otherwise, we may have capitulated even more.
And thank God it was that early. Let's be honest. If this was 20 minutes into the game, 25 minutes, then do United come back from that? Yeah,
no, that was not fun to watch first thing in the morning. But at least we got the win again, and it was good to see us dominating. It was good to see Anthony actually have a better game. Still wasn't his best game, but it was better than the first 2 games of the season, which was nice to see. But and it's good to see, obviously, Anthony Martial back, and of course Rashford had a pretty decent performance. I thought he had a very Bruno-esque performance. A lot of frustration with everyone, but he did have a huge contribution to all 3 goals. So I do have to say Rashford had I wouldn't say man of the match performance, but he had the most impact on the game performance. He had a very Bruno-esque performance. A lot of frustrating moments.
Yeah, I agree. I think it goes to show, isn't it? The game when Rashford's back out to the left, even when he was the striker in the second half, he starts drifting back out to the left to win a penalty because that's where he's most comfortable, and it can affect the game. I mean, where do you? I'll ask everyone this so far, but I'll ask you as well. With Bruno Fernandes, as I mentioned, really polarizing figure. for some reason. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's noise coming from sort of, outside of Manchester United as well as inside Manchester United from opposition fans. What do you make of his performance today? And where do you kind of sit on him in general when it comes to, his personality, his captaincy? Where do you kind of sit on all of that?
Personally, I really like it. Like, he gives us he gives us that emotion. Like, and you just love it when other fans just hate him. Like, there's always those players in every different league. So like for the Premier League, it's everybody, you either hate him or you love him, and that's Bruno Fernandes. And there's always like those kind of players like in the NBA, NHL that you just hate that player, but if they were playing for your team, you love them to the end. They're like the best. And I think you kind of need that in just like professional sports. You just need that polarizing figure. Like, and he's so good. Like, you can't deny, like, he can pick out a ball. Like even Kevin De Bruyne said it. He creates like so many chances. Like, yeah, I don't understand why like so many people like dislike him for doing what he does. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
He doesn't retain the ball.
Yeah, exactly. He's frustrating, like you said, because he'll give the ball away and stuff like that. But there definitely can't be an argument that he doesn't create. Like you said, he's involved in every goal today, whether it's taking the shot for the first one. The second goal in particular is a really well-worked goal. For a team that can't score set pieces, it's a brilliant set piece that United. It starts off from Bruno, gives it to Rashford. Rashford gives it him back, puts Casemiro in, and he scores the goal. And obviously, he scores the penalty. So, I mean, where would we be without him, do you think?
Well, it's hard to say. Like, we would be a team that retains the ball better, but will we create as many chances? But that's the thing. And I'm more excited to see how Højlund comes really into things with finishing his chances and, well, just hold up play in general and pressing from the front and just winning the ball. I felt like we won the ball back up on the front, I guess, quite a bit, but I feel like we can still do better. Like, we're not pressing I don't feel like we're pressing well as a unit yet. Like, we're doing like a little bit of individual pressing, and then it just doesn't feel very cohesive yet at the moment. And hopefully after international break, it gets worked out, all the kinks. But I guess we still have Arsenal first. And
yes, that was going to be my final question. How are you feeling about Arsenal? Look, they dropped points today. That was at home against Fulham, against 10 men as well.
Yeah.
Fulham got a player sent off, and they still equalise. Does that give us room to believe, or do you still have the concerns about? Well,
obviously, believe. Playing... Right.
Yes, exactly.
But, no, I will be honestly happy if we get a point out of Arsenal. Arsenal are still playing very well. I still got to give them credit. They are playing very well. Like, they may have dropped points today, but they are still playing very well. Like, and we are not playing very well. But this was also last time this year we were not playing well, and we had to play Liverpool, and then that was one of our best performances of the season. So last year when we played Arsenal, we actually played pretty well at their ground. We went toe to toe with them. We just ran out of gas. So. But we're not looking fit either, so hopefully we don't run out of gas again against Arsenal. But I'll honestly be happy if we get a point. Hopefully we get the win, and we can end their invincible run that they want to always go for, that they say.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think you're right. I think people forget about that, didn't they, last year at the Emirates, that whilst we lost in the end 3-2, and particularly second half, they were all over us, but we got 2 goals, and that was without Casemiro. And we'll hope Casemiro is going to be available next week. He limped off. So, he limped off. He looked like he was holding his hamstring at the end of the game, but he still finished it. So here's hoping. But I like the belief. I like the belief. There you go. Big up, Lucas. Appreciate you calling in as always. Regular caller into the full-time view. Appreciate you, Lucas. I think I'll quite when it comes to the super chats as well. Just double checking any quotes from Erik ten Hag that have come out after the game. I've also just seen in the evening kickoff, Brighton are losing. West Ham 1-0 up. Hey, what about that? I mean, it's a heck of a game, that Brighton versus West Ham. That's an interesting one as well. Ten Hag speaking about Varane, just a bit of an update on him if people are wondering. And we will go into all of this stuff more in depth tomorrow, by the way. Match Day Reloaded is back. tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Panenka Studios, we're dusting them off, is returning. So that's going to be a lot of fun when we go through the manager quotes and the fan views and all that kind of stuff. But Ten Hag on Rafael Varane has said, quote, he had complaints. We didn't want to risk him. I don't know if it's bad. We have to wait. So maybe playing it down a little bit to say, well, he just, there were some complaints, but we didn't want to risk it. Basically meaning that we've got Arsenal coming up. That's a more important game. So here's hoping maybe he is going to be available next week. But although it must be said, I thought Lindelof did well when he came on. And that's the role for Lindelof, isn't it? The role for Lindelof is number 3 centre-back. If Martinez is missing, if Varane's missing, can fill in and do an excellent job because he is quality. So that's the update when it comes to Rafael Varane. Let's get to another call. Let's go to Sean. Sean, emotional roller coaster, but we've recovered. We're not as emotional now. How are you feeling?
Relieved. I think that's the right word.
Yes.
The start was, man, I've not seen a United team start so badly in a long time. But look, I mean, it is about resilience at the end of the day. We can keep talking about tactics and all of that, but the fact that we ultimately got the 3 points is good, and it's good ahead of the Arsenal game because we needed a result today. It probably isn't as big of a result, but it helps. Every little bit helps. Every little bit of confidence helps. I think the team is gelling a bit better. I think once we went down, you could argue that it shouldn't take us 2 goals to be able to start playing. But when we did, I did see patterns. I remember talking to you after the Spurs game saying that I don't see any patterns. But today, I think they were more visible. Obviously, with Rashi on the left, it was just much more fluid. There were more interchanges. I think Eriksen being in the middle really helped to control the game. However, I was a bit annoyed with how we managed the game after we scored the 3rd goal. And obviously, Bruno was spectacular.
Yeah. I think it was interesting, actually, because Ten Hag, he made that sub when he brought on McTominay for Anthony, which he doesn't sometimes tend to do. He likes just to do like for likes, and that's about it. But even he realised that, actually, no, even a 10-man Nottingham Forest, we really need this win, and we're vulnerable. And I thought he was smart when it came to that. Bruno Fernandes, you mentioned Bruno. What do you think about him? Again, I've still seen people in the comments saying you're overgassing it, you're overhyping him. Bruno's not that good, but he's involved in all 3 goals today, so he can't be that bad, can he?
Again, mate, I never understand the Bruno slander. I've genuinely never understood it. The guy is a creative machine, as one person has said. And yes, right now, Man United are top in our expected goals in the whole league, 7.2 actually. And literally 90% of it is down to him. I think you can put him in the same context as some of the best creative midfielders in Europe. He is that good. And obviously, look, he flatters to deceive sometimes because he obviously wants to go for the Hollywood pass. But I think under Ten Hag, I think his game is refined quite a bit more. I don't think he looks at those risky passes all the time anymore. I think he's become more cultured as a midfielder. And when you add his creative side to it, I think we've got such a special player in our ranks, and to see certain fans just demean him week in, week out is very, very baffling to me. Honestly, it's just baffling at this point. How can you not like this man, and how can you not want him as your captain? Especially when he scored the 3rd goal, I could feel that raw emotion perpetrating through him. He really gets it. I mean, apart from since he's come to Man United, he rescued us from a really difficult season. I remember, we were crying out for somebody to light the spark, and he has. And obviously, every big player has their lean patches. That doesn't mean we have to turn on them. So I do not understand the Bruno hate. For me, he's one of my favorite players in the squad. He always has been. I have his jersey as well, and I absolutely love him. And will continue to do.
Yeah, and I think also as well with Bruno too it's worth pointing out, isn't it, that imagine he did play with a striker that was a number 9 that scored 20, 25, 30 goals a season. I mean, the amount of assists he would register, because as you mentioned, it's not as if he doesn't create chances. He does. They just don't get finished off a lot of the time, and he still creates, and eventually he scores them himself. So I agree with you. I think it's odd. I do think it's odd, some of the Bruno slander. I think some of the things are justified, and I don't think you want to change him too much when it comes to his personality or anything like that. But I think refine's a good word, and I think that's what Ten Hag has done with him. I would agree with that. Rashford back on the left today, Martial through the middle. Are we sort of seeing closer to Rashford of last season, of he just needs to be on the left-hand side, that's where he's at his best?
Mate, I think with Rashi, with Bruno, I never had this concern because I know even if we are playing a bad game, he's going to try and create. I think with Rashi, he becomes too peripheral down the middle, and I think obviously with Anthony Martial playing through the middle, they've had a rapport. They've been playing together for a while, and I could see some patterns evolving. He's obviously far better down the left. I think he was really good today. That cross to get Bruno to head in for Casemiro was a mint, absolute mint, and he got the penalty as well. I'm hearing certain rival fans crying about that for some reason. I mean, we hated Odegaard, never ignored Owen, unbelievable. Yeah. And I think he had a good game. I still think he has yet to reach those peaks. Obviously, he didn't have a great start to the season, but it's time for him to kick on. It's time for him to score goals now. Obviously we were dependent on him highly last season. That shouldn't be the case again this time, but I do think we'd see better of Marcus when Højlund is also playing through the middle. Rather than Martial, because I think Rasmus would give us more pressing, more dragging away defenders so that he can, directly run. I think he gave Aurier an absolutely torrid time today. I was surprised Aurier didn't commit more fouls on him. So I think with respect to Bruno, obviously, there is improvement, and we can see that also in the Fantasy Premier League. But with Rashford, I still think there are gears to go. I still think so. The match against Arsenal will be very, very important. I want to see how he turns up against Arsenal at the Emirates. He turned up very well last season, but this is a different situation right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he scored a great goal against Arsenal at the Emirates last season, didn't he? Out of nothing as well. So here's hoping he can replicate something like that. Finally, before I go to a different call, talk to me a bit about the back four, because obviously Luke Shaw injured. Today we had Dalot at left back, Wan-Bissaka at right back, which was expected. Varane, as Ten Hag sort of says, he had a bit of a complaint, so we'll wait and see about that. Do you have any concerns about the back four? Do you have any concerns about the left back spot in particular now that Shaw's injured, or are you happy with Dalot today?
I was happy with Dalot today. I think he held the width very well, and he was obviously coming in, sometimes inverting, and that suits him because he's obviously right-footed more. But yeah, look, there is concern. There's no doubt about it. I think last year we were saved because of our defense, but this season it's been a bit different. Obviously, with Rafa going off, it's worrying. But I do trust Victor Lindelof to fulfill that role. I think he did it well last season. I do think he's our third best centre back. It will be difficult against Arsenal. Obviously, now Gabby Jesus is back as well. They'd probably stop it in Nketiah, but it is a concern to me more regarding the consistency rather than the play, because I did see patterns today. There were a couple of really high pressure situations where we managed to pull the ball out from the back. Onana, I think, look, I know people will rib at him for not coming out of the line for the first goal, but I think otherwise he was quite decent. The whole team needs to turn up at the Emirates, really. I mean, I know they drew today and we like bantering them. Oh, God, I'm the first person to. But it will be a very, very difficult game. And it's not the same Arsenal anymore. I think they're more compact through the middle. They will probably have more possession of the ball. So it'll be up to the defense to hold on. Can they? I'm not too sure. I do think we'll concede. How many is the question? But look, we have to believe.
Yes, everyone's saying it. Everyone's saying you've got to. There you go. Appreciate you calling in, Sean, as always. Yeah. Go on, finish up.
Oh, no, I was just saying that, please, Owen, it would be great if you don't go to the Emirates with a Believe video this time.
Yeah, no, we won't. I mean, even though it's funny because when we did the one before the FA Cup final, and people legitimately thought that we were being serious when we did it. I was saying places didn't exist. I said Wakanda. I was like, that's not a real place. Like, but nevertheless, no, we're not going to be doing that. But what I will say, guys, for all the people that are watching at the moment is stay tuned, because you know what it's like. Every time we play Arsenal, there's going to be a week of crossover between ourselves and AFTV, and we're going to have to listen. We're going to have to listen to what they're going to say and how great they are. But who won this weekend? Because it wasn't Arsenal. It was us. So maybe we're going into the game in more form than them. I don't know. But certainly we believe. We've got to believe. So there you go. Big up, Sean. Appreciate you calling in as always. Where are we at? Let's have a look in the comments before we go to another call. JB says Rashi is miles off form. I wouldn't say miles off. I wouldn't say he's obviously nowhere near the heights that he was of last season. I think that's a fair thing to say. But I wouldn't say miles off. Again, I thought he did better today. He looked more like himself. That was a nasty one, by the way. I'm just looking at this, the Brighton West Ham game, and who is that? Has been absolutely clattered by the goalkeeper. Got absolute sort of the ball came in and they got punched right in the face. Man, that was nasty. But yeah, I wouldn't say Rashford's miles off. I think just play more consistently on the left. That's what he needs, isn't it? Clearly, that's what he needs. Let's get to another call. Let's go to Red Devils 99. Red Devils 99. What are your thoughts on the game? Do you believe after today's result?
Yo, Owen, let me talk to you. Yeah.
Go on. Yeah.
Listen, that was a great win for us. Now, let me make myself clear. People in the chat or Twitter saying we are getting ahead of ourselves. What do you want me to do? Not celebrate a win, a comeback win at Old Trafford? We lose, people complain. We win, people complain. Just shut up, man. It's a win. Yeah. Let's celebrate at least. We don't have to be all negative. Yeah. Last week, second half, the main concern was how bad the players looked, like mentally, and it could have happened after that start. But we stayed there, we fought, and we got the win. Now, all is not, rosy. There are concerns, but that was a good win.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mentioned that when I started off that, and I think it's about finding that balance, isn't it? Because, like you say, was it a perfect performance? No, you can't come out of the game and be completely overjoyed and be like we were perfect, because we were not perfect. But at the same time, as you point out, what's the most important thing? Winning the game. 2 is coming back and showing that we've got the capabilities of coming back. We've had games recently, haven't we? Particularly away from home, but also, where we can see the goal and we go, well, we've lost because we're not going to come back and score. We scored 3 goals today, and we could have and maybe should have scored more as well. So I agree with you that I think there is positives to be taken out of it. Maybe one of the biggest is Bruno Fernandes. What did you think of Bruno?
Yeah, Bruno was good. First, let me say, we were 2-0 down. And all I remembered was Marcel saying, we are going to be unbeaten at Old Trafford this season. And he's right so far.
He is right so far. He always finds a way to be right. He always does.
Yeah. Going back to the Bruno conversation, right? Bruno was man of the match today. People still who are going to complain about Bruno, I don't understand this. We were absolutely shit when Bruno joined us. He dragged us, took us to the next level, and people are still complaining. If Bruno didn't play next week, we would look terrible. People just like to complain. I don't understand. It's like a new fashion or something. It's like a new trend. People like to make 1 or 2 players the scapegoat. Even if the entire team plays badly, it's only 1 or 2 players' fault. Last season, De Gea. This season, it looks like it's going to be between Anthony, Bruno, and Mount. No matter how bad we play, it's going to be 2-3 of those players' fault, right? And people like to say, oh, he's moaning all the time. He's hot-headed, this and that. I mean, did you not see Wayne Rooney? Did he not used to moan? And Ronaldo, not the Ronaldo that played for us a couple of years back, but Ballon d'Or winning Ronaldo, he used to moan all the time when things didn't go our way. And hot-headed, did you not see Roy Keane? We could have prime Ronaldo, Roy Keane, or maybe even Cantona in this team, and people would still criticize them. It's just people like to criticize players, and then they want them to fail just so that they can say, I was right. That's why I don't even pay attention.
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand a lot of it. Christian Eriksen came in for one of those players you mentioned, Mason Mount, out of an injury. What do you think of the midfield with Eriksen in it? Does it look more balanced to you? Do you think it looks a bit more reassured, or are you still a bit worried with it, considering we did concede 2 goals today?
I'm not too worried, because in a way, we did concede 2 goals, but those were, the first goal was Wan-Bissaka. As he was going for the header, I could see like he was blinded by the sun. I knew he was going to miss the header. Yeah. And then, but the goal, I would blame Rashford on that. He should be way more physical. He should be challenging for the ball. And, it's just one of those goals. And the second one was just everybody missed the ball. And even the goal scorer, I didn't think he knew too much about it.
No.
But after the goal went in, we looked in control. Like, can you remember when was the last time we absolutely controlled the midfield like that? We had, at points, we had like over 90% possession for a sustained period of time. Yeah. So I think the midfield looked good. Everybody, all the three midfielders got the goal. Bruno was brilliant. The second goal, that was brilliant. I did not see it coming. As soon as Bruno played it to Rashford, I thought, oh, we wasted this chance. And then Rashford plays a brilliant ball. Bruno to Casemiro. That was a lovely team goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant team goal. I agree totally. Finally, do you believe when it comes to the game against Arsenal? Can we go there and get a result? Can we do something we haven't really been doing, which is get a big win away from home against a big side? Do you believe?
I'm not going to say anything because the last time I said something before the Spurs match, you know how that turned out. But you know my answer. I'm not going to say it, but you know I do.
Believe.
I'm not going to predict anything.
Believe.
Believe. I'm taking it as a yes. I appreciate calling him Red Devils 99. Believes. He believes. Don't want to say it. Don't want to jinx it. But it's kind of, it was a wink, wink, and a nudge. I don't want to jinx it, but I think we all, we all believe. Yeah, you've got to. You've got to believe. Yes. Let's get to another call. Let's go to Eric 10 years. Eric 10 years. I've heard that you would like to defend Mason Mount. Talk to me.
Yeah, it's true. How are you doing, Owen?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Yeah, I would like to defend Mount from I think the majority of the fan base because I think he had a okay start to the season. I think what's happening is two things. The fan base, or at least most of the fan base, is not familiar with what Ten Hag does, not familiar with Ten Hag from his Ajax days and his issues from his Ajax days. Ten Hag has never been a possession-heavy manager. He's always been a direct type of manager where he plays direct passes after baiting a press. And before he came to United, he had one holding midfielder in Alvarez that's similar to Casemiro in that he can't receive on the half turn. And then he had Gravenberch and Berghuis ahead of Alvarez, which is similar to what he wants to do at United. I think what's happening is that people don't know what Ten Hag's preferred way of playing is, and they're trying to project their own possession-based thing onto Ten Hag, and Ten Hag's never been that type of manager. So that's one thing. And then the second thing, you write off Mount before he even begins, and you see confirmation bias. So when you see he's not doing well, and newsflash, it's not only him, it's the whole team. You start saying, okay, I told you so. I told you so. He's never been good, and which is not true. Because last match, first half, Spurs, he did very well. He got a lot of recoveries for us. And yes, Eriksen came in today, but we didn't press that high today. We didn't have as much recoveries as we did in the previous game. So I'm here to defend him, and I'm here to say that, look, if he was playing against Arsenal, which he's not going to, we're going to have a tough time dealing with Arsenal's physical midfield. Partey, Rice, and whatever. It's going to be tough for us.
What did you think then with you mentioned today then? Did you see with Eriksen, United's midfield perform differently then? Do you think because Mason Mount wasn't in there, as you mentioned, not pressing as high? But does Eriksen have things that maybe Mount doesn't, like being able to dictate the tempo or his ability on the ball?
Yeah, I think he does. I agree with you. He does. And then he has he has things that Mount doesn't have, and then Mount in the same breath has things that he doesn't, that Eriksen has in abundance that he doesn't have. So I agree with you. Yeah. But like, as I said, we lost something today. We were not pressing that high. That's what Ten Hag wants to do. That's why Eriksen sits on the bench for Mount. That's what he's trying to do.
I mean, in an ideal world, you'd have a hybrid of both, wouldn't you? You'd have Eriksen's ability on the ball with Mount's distance to be able to cover, and his sort of his stamina as well. Just circling back to the game, what did you think of Bruno Fernandes today? Involved in all of the goals. Where do you sit on the Bruno slander from some people, criticism from others, praise from some other people? What did you think of Bruno today?
It's always extremes with Bruno. Like I'm very balanced with him. I would say I'm leaning more to being a big fan of his. I love him. I love the things he does off the ball. He never loses 50-50s, which is something I never see people talk about. He always goes in fully. He creates things out of nothing. He's a creative machine. You know who said that? Look, he's your favorite player's favorite player. People are talking about Madison being in United. We should have bought Madison. Look, we don't need people like that. I'm glad that we have Bruno. I'm glad we have a character and someone who's willing to die for the badge. I like him. I love him. I don't know why people. I understand why people don't like him. He can be rash at times. Yeah, he can be a bit annoying. I've seen some people saying we shouldn't have given him the captaincy because his face is annoying, which is weird. Yeah, but like
exactly. I think that's a good point. Like, I think there is just he's a person that for whatever reason evokes a really strong emotion from certain people, and when you ask them to explain it, sometimes they can't. And you're like, well, that's got nothing to do with football, really. That's just got you not liking him for whatever reason. So, yeah, it's very strange.
It's like Andrew Robertson. Like, I don't know, like he irks me whenever I see Andrew Robertson. But I know he's a brilliant footballer. But like, he's just you don't want to play against him. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, there you go. Appreciate you calling in, Eric. 10 years. Finally, actually, do you believe next week we got a chance against Arsenal? Do you believe?
Okay, look, I'm gonna go with vibes. I believe. Let's do it. Let's put Dalot in the left back position. Put Eriksen there one more time. Look, even if we won't be able to defend transitions, let's just go for it, man. Yes, Rashford magic, Bruno magic. Let's go.
Let's go. I like that. Appreciate you calling in, Eric. 10 years. Everyone's believing today. That's what I like to hear. Super chat from Red Devils 99 says, spot on this guy. Eric Ten Hag's way is between Pep and Klopp's style of play. Just need the balance from mounts like Gravenberch and teammates supporting. So some support from the super chats as well. But there you go, guys. Appreciate everyone that's called in today. Remember, if you're watching this after the fact, you can call in next week after the Arsenal game. All you have to do is be a member. You can do so. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your exclusive members-only content like episodes of UV Raw, and you can call into the full-time view as well. What's not to like involved in that package? It's tremendous. As for what's coming up, fan views are probably out at the moment or on their way out from obviously inside UBHQ from the guys that were on the match view panel today. In addition to that, there's going to be fan views and reactions from outside Old Trafford as well with Flex. I believe there's probably going to be some footage as well of the protest. There was a sit-in protest happening at Old Trafford today too. So we'll have some coverage of that too. Tomorrow, what's on tap tomorrow? Sunday in the morning, Match Day Reloaded. As I mentioned, we'll be back. I'll be with you at 9 o'clock to go through the reaction to today's victory over Nottingham Forest. Then 7 p.m. tomorrow will be the full view with a panel of different faces. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. So stay tuned for all of that. Anyway, guys, have a great Saturday, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Peace.